Hello humans, my name is Poofu. I am your jack-of-all-trades YouTuber for whatever kind of bullshit you want to see. And today, for my first video ever, hooray, I will be showing you a deck build for Yu-Gi-Oh! Of my World Chalices. So I'm going to start off with the normal monsters, aka the vanillas, and I run 3 copies of Beckoned by the World Chalice, Chosen by the World Chalice, and Crowned by the World Chalice. And in case people don't know, who aren't really into Yu-Gi-Oh, vanilla monsters or normal monsters, they're monsters that don't have effects. But these cards are all good because they're good for other spells and traps, other monster effects that are involved in this deck. And now for the non-normal World Chalice cards, I run 3 Lees, 3 World Legacy World Chalices, and 1 World Chalice Guard Dragon. I only run 1 because there are 2 other monsters in this deck that I like to use for various reasons. Lee is good. You always want to run 3 in this deck because it lets you recycle cards and it lets you search cards. Yeah, this strategy makes your deck run very short, but if you're playing your cards right, then you're going to be perfectly fine. World Legacy World Chalice has the same problem, I guess, but it lets you special summon 2 monsters when it goes to the graveyard after being normal summoned. So what I like to do is I like to go into Imduck, then I activate its effect to normal summon this, and then I use that to link summon, and then use the World Legacy and Imduck to go into Aurum, use the 2 cards special summon from this to go into Ib, blah blah blah. Anyway, and then I like to use Guard Dragon, because then after pulling off that combo that I just was talking about, I can return Lee to my hand, special summon, banish this card, special summon a normal monster, and, just wreck house. And now it's time for the 2 non-World Chalice regular monsters I have in this deck, and that's Goblinberg and Clock Resonator. I use these 2 cards. I use Goblinberg mostly because it's good for link summoning. You summon this card first turn, then you use it to special summon another World Chalice card. You use that to summon Imduck. You activate Imduck's effect, and you maybe use this to sacrifice for World Legacy World Chalice. Then you use Imduck and World Legacy World Chalice to link summon, and then you use the effect of World Legacy World Chalice to special summon 2 more World Chalice monsters to go into Ib, and then at that point your board is already a third of the way set for the rest of the duel. And then Clock Resonator, I use this card because I have some synchros in my extra deck. And now it's time to move on to the spell cards. Starting off with the World Chalice cards, I run 3 of the field spell, World Legacy Discovery, and 3 of World Legacy's Heart. This card lets you add 2 World Chalice cards from your graveyard to your hand. So stuff like Imduck, Aurum, Ib, Ningirisu, all those cards you can add back to your extra deck. And then what I like to do is I usually do 1 Link monster and then 1 regular World Chalice card. And then World Legacy Discovery, this gives all of your World Chalice monsters plus 300. Why would you not want that? And then if one of your World Chalice cards is destroyed by battle, you can special summon a monster from the graveyard, special summon something like Crowned or Lee. With their high defense already, they are going to make a pretty good wall. Sadly, this effect is only once per turn, but not much you can do about that. And now on to the regular spell and trap cards. Boogie Trap, which you discard 2 cards, set a trap that's in your graveyard, and you get to activate that turn. So if you have So if you set something like back to the front, what I like to do is I discard one of the cards I discard is the card that I want to set. Like say I have back to the front in my hand and some card like Lee, I discard Lee and back to the front. I activate Lee's effect to add it back to my hand by discarding a monster. Then I set back to the front from my graveyard and then summon the monster that I just discarded. So that's always a good move. Swords of Revealing Light I like to use just for stall tactics. It doesn't work on every deck, but on the decks it does work. It's Precious Time. Backup Rider, that's an extra 1500 attack. Gravity Lash, lowering your opponent's monster's attack, that's always good. Mystical Space Typhoon, that's good. Back row defense. Terraforming adds field spells to my hand. I need more terraformings. If I'm going to replace any spell card, I would replace Swords of Revealing Light, because it's not quite as useful these days, but it's still a good card. And now onto the traps, starting with the one Chalice World Legacy card. I use World Legacy Landmark. I only run one of this card. I might fix that later. But this lets you special by banishing one World Legacy monster from your hand or face up from your field, and then special summon 2 monsters from your graveyard. And if you're playing your cards right, then you're going to end up banishing your World Legacy World Chalice anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you ended up banishing it a bit early. So what I like to do is I like to summon World Legacy World Chalice, and then I use this card so that I get out 4 monsters as opposed to just 2. So, you know, there's always that. And now on to the regular trap cards. One sec. Okay. Recall. Negate monster's effects. Your opponent draws 1 card. Compulsory. Return 1 monster on the field to the hand. This is good if you want to use World Legacy World Chalice, because with World Legacy World Chalice, it doesn't have to be destroyed. It just has to leave the field. So that can be banished, that can be graveyard, that can be returned to hand. So that's always good. Break off Trap Hole. Destroy all monsters that aren't linked when a link monster is link summoned. So if you get that off like in the middle of your combo, you're going to have linked cards up the wazoo. So you're basically nuking your opponent's field as long as they don't use link monsters. Transmission Gear. If you win a game of rock, paper, scissors, your opponent banishes the monster that was battling with your monster. Heavy Storm Duster. Destroy 2 spell or traps. You can't battle that turn. Bottomless Trap Hole. Banish cards. Always good. Mirror Force. Threatening Roar. Prevents attacks. Back to the front. Bringing back monsters, which is good, because the graveyard play in this deck is not the greatest. I might add Call of the Haunted at some point. I'm not sure. If I end up getting back to the front, I might use back to the front instead. But Call of the Haunted has its own perks, because you can use Call of the Haunted on stuff like link monsters. So that's always good. And now finally I'm gonna go into the extra deck. First off are my synchros. I use Ancient Pixie Dragon and Ancient Fairy Dragon. These cards are good because the former lets you draw cards and pop monsters. The latter lets you add field spells to your hand and destroy field spells in order to gain 1,000 life points. So that's always good. The attack is decent too, so there's that. Then Imduk, this is my combo opener. This is how I destroy monsters that I can't destroy with spell and trap cards. So say like Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, someone gets that out, or any other card that isn't affected by spell or traps. This card kills it, because you don't take damage from battle involving this card, as long as this card is pointing to it. Which kind of sucks that that's the stipulation, but with these days, considering most monsters end up going into the extra monster zone if people use an older deck. It's whatever. Ib, this card kind of helps make the deck, because if this card is linked, it can't be destroyed by card effects or battle, and can't be targeted by my opponent's card effects when it's linked. So you pair this up with Topologic Bomber Dragon, and your opponent is Fubard. Aurum gains 300 attack when there's a World Legacy World Chalice in the graveyard. Sadly, it would gain more if there were more World Legacy monsters, but there aren't at the moment. But I think that I heard that there's going to be more World Legacy support soon. So here's hoping to that. It's a good card. It has decent attack. So at most it has 2600. And all the World Chalice Link monsters have the effect where if it leaves the field, I special summon a Link monster. I special summon a World Chalice card from my hand. And then in Girisu, this is like the Ace World Chalice monster. Maybe not, like not the Ace card of this particular deck, but the Ace World Chalice monster, because not only can this card pop 2 cards, sadly one of those cards has to be one of your own, but it has decent attack to boot. It lets you draw up to 3 cards depending on how many World Chalices it points to. So this card, you want to play this card more at the end of your combo, because as you can see here, you need 2 Link monsters to Link summon it. So that's kind of the bad part. So you have to like set up your board way before you're able to summon it. And even then, you have to detract from your own board and to be able to summon it. But otherwise, it's a good card. It's worth it. It's well worth it. And then Topologic Bomber Dragon, another card that is well worth it, because this card can nuke both players' fields, and then when it attacks an opponent's monster, attacks, not destroys, attacks, your opponent takes damage equal to that monster's attack. So even if you attack a defense position monster, you're still doing damage. More damage than if it was piercing damage. And if you're fighting like a 2000 attack monster with this card, then no matter what, you're dealing 3000 damage. And like I said earlier, if you pair this card with Ib, your board is going to be very solid, because Ib, when it's linked, cannot be destroyed by monster or spell card effects, or targeted by them, or targeted by my opponent's spell or trap effects, plus monster effects. Anyway, that's my World Chalice deck. It's not the best, not the worst. It's a fun deck, I will give it that. It's probably the favorite one that I have right now. Second would probably be the Ancient Years. Third, very close third, would be the Heroes. But, yeah. Thanks for watching this video. If you want, you can like, comment, subscribe. You really don't need to. I'm probably, like, almost never gonna upload. So, bye.